Greetings, welcome to a Monday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is February 17th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing great. It was a good weekend outside of a slight mishap at Assembly Hall.
What was the mishap?
They hung that banner upside down.
Terrence Shannon Jr.
I gotta ask, what was the rush to hang to? The guy was playing on the Illinois team last year, and they did the jersey celebration, hung the jersey in the rafters 1 year later.
Why? What was the point of that, right? Wouldn't you wait for like another year or something? I mean, Illinois is having a fine season. They're good. They're good enough. Like, wouldn't you save that for, I don't know, just you need a juice one night? You need some juice?
This isn't our program. Our program isn't like Boston College. We don't need juice night to night. But they unveiled the jersey at halftime, and it's upside down.
That was incredible. I opened my phone, some Illinois beat writer's like, well, somebody's about to get fired. And then they trotted the AD out, and he's like, it's inexcusable. But then they got to get it up. They got to play. So then it's there all night, upside down, hanging at the top of the rafters.
No,
How does this happen?
It around. They flipped it around.
No. There was subsequent tweets. It was way up above the scoreboard, still upside down, because they had to get going with the game. How does this happen? What an embarrassment! You're taking shots at my program. What an embarrassment!
What are you talking about?
At least we have
players that have done something that allows us to hang some jerseys.
We're retiring Jared Dudley or something, I think, recently. Also, you watch that hockey game? You hear how many times for the so-and-so out of Boston College? We are proudly filling the ranks of Team America, defending our country against Canada with the fights. Look at this. Terrence. Well, they'll have to flip it around, but Terrence Shannon Jr. is forever an Illini legend. This can't happen. Did nobody check? Does nobody just go look? This is up there. This is among, I'm trying to think of like the great embarrassments of the PGA Tour. This has to, I mean,
get out of here.
Remember when they painted the line wrong at Austin, right? They had to go repaint the line. They had the wrong, and it was like middle of the round. Like, this just can't happen.
Do you think
it's a complete embarrassment?
Do you think that I would think that people test the roll up unrolling, right? If you rolled it up,
yes,
you would test it, right? How does this happen? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
kid pulls the drape off, and like he's got to deal with it. And in 2025. 25 years ago, no one cares. No one sees this. No one knows outside of like a very small select thing. 25, it's like, this is literally why social media exists. It's for this precise kind of bullshit. And the entire world sees it. Tough. But hey, you can celebrate them later. A good amusing moment. I love that the AD had to do a press conference about it.
Well,
pretty
good.
The
game was a disaster afterwards too. I think
what happened? They lose.
They lost, but they blew a huge lead. They did score they did score in the last 8.5 minutes of the game.
Well, they actually had 2 points taken off the board in the last 8 minutes. They had the game closed on like a 15 to -2 run because they reviewed a goaltending call that was not goaltending. So they took the 2 points off the board.
PJ's just locked into every like random ass game, every sport. Did you watch the hockey? We're really going with Sports Minute here.
I did watch the hockey. The hockey was great. It took me a second to the third fight, JT Miller. I had to remind myself that that's my idiot now that I'm accounting for now that he's back on the Rangers. I saw it. I went, oh, it's JT Miller. And then I went, wait, oh, he can't get hurt. That guy's important.
Well, this is the thing. This is incredible theater, and it's really competitive, but. The Kachuk's hurt. The one Canadian defenseman's like out several weeks, it sounds like. So what do? It's way better than the All-Star game. Like the Peak Cup, the Peak Cup, the tour people just have to be like so like mad and rage. Like that they could just make this thing up, this Four Nations thing up, and it's like automatically, it's immediately a sensation. right? It has no history, no existence prior to, yesterday. And they're getting 4.5 million people, right? But team events, especially when countries are involved, generally do well. The P Cup just hasn't found it yet. So
what has more juice, the P Cup or NBA All-Star Game?
The P Cup. I would take the P Cup
for sure.
Cup dust,
they're actually competing there. I don't even know what the format is anymore for the All-Star game.
I saw there's like old guys team,
young guys. They pretty much split them up based on age now, and then they had 3 teams.
But why are there 3 teams? What's the 3-team format?
So there's a 4th team. They had 4 Rising Stars, or maybe it was 2, whatever they did with the Rising Stars game. The team that won the Rising Stars game is now the 4th team in the NBA All-Star game. So all of these D-League guys get to play the All-Stars for $1 million. That's the new format. It doesn't make any sense.
This is a disaster. I can't keep track of any of this stuff. That's terrible. I saw there was some like social media post, Dalton Connect arrives for the All-Star game. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Is he an All-Star? That can't be right. I know he's having a fine.
Was he able to play, or is he still sitting out because of the trade?
I think he's playing. And how about LeBron? He shows up and says, wait, no, I'm not going to play. I mean, this is a guy with the alternate on the range, wants a spot, needs a spot. And, so Jason Day, takes one swing. He's like, oi, and backs out. But then, like, the alternate can't fill a spot. Like, LeBron just jammed some guy out of, like, probably some great bonus All-Star game, but making the All-Star team bonus. Who decides, go show them my ankle sore?
Another tough spot for LeBron, in the
real
MJ.
tough.
MJ never did that.
The All-Star game may make no sense, but halftime should be a show because they are flying Bay Area legend up the coast from San Diego, Ludvig? Åberg, yes, of the Bay Golf Club to appear at halftime of the All-Star game. Shower him with praise. The city is abuzz. The Bay Area is abuzz. One of their own takes down the second, I guess it's third, signature event of the year. So congrats to Ludvig.
When you're in a neighborhood and your sports teams are in the playoffs and you hear everybody on the street shouting, that was me today down the stretch with Ludvig. Everybody on my block was hooting and hollering as he came in. Especially they were living and dying with the 18th hole.
They were. It was. I love.
Everybody walked out of their house and talked about it.
YouTube comment, is Justin Leonard back? Like, great. This is our audience asking that at the top of our live show. Yeah, it was a great round for Ludvig. A good event. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of Torrey Pines in a month, but it's fine. It's awful circumstances. It felt big. It felt like a real massive event. You had Patrick Rogers and Denny McCarthy, these two kind of snake bit pros who are very solid pros. Bona fide tour pros, and can't win or can't break through with the win.
It looked like they were going to win.
Group.
27 holes in. It was, it was one of those guys. It felt like they were going to win, but and
then it felt like Mav was going to win. It was just like a lot of shuffling. I think, there was a moment I watched the entire day where it just felt like this is kind of, I think the signature event model is sort of working. Can there be tweaks and updates? Should there be a cut? That's fine. It's for you to yell about if you want. I think, occasionally that's good. Maybe jump them up a little bit more. But like this is kind of what we wanted. We want some young stars. Saturday we had Scheffler and Rory were in the mix. They both kind of bumped, but then Scheffler gets back into the mix, the number 1 player in the world. It was just a very, very good, strong leaderboard. And I think this is sort of the ideal for the signature events. It's hard not to have a good leaderboard when you have only 72 guys or whatever it is. And they're all the top of the rankings. So it was just like, I think this is how you want it to play out. The course was not what it typically is with Riviera, but it felt like a really big Sunday on CBS for me.
Yeah. And I think listen, it wasn't Riviera, but Torrey has a way of producing a unique leaderboard in a Torrey sense. And I thought it was kind of a neat week in the sense of how brutal it was on Thursday, and you see guys it's rare for you to see guys who start out like, you look at the Mav and Ludvig. Ludvig shot 74 on Thursday. Mav shot 75. You go down the list. Cantlay shot 74. Fleetwood shot 75. Finau shot 76. These are all guys that finished in the top 5, and it was like this week, and it was soft, and the rough was really thick, but like, listen, it served up some penalties. I think I'm very on the record for not liking Torrey Pines, but you know what? It's a big golf course. It's a big ballpark, and there are a lot worse tests on tour than this one. And given the circumstances, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's a shame that we didn't have this at Riviera. It's delightful to watch golf on the Pacific Ocean. And I think we see Torrey Pines enough that it's fun because what's coming down the stretch, and it makes it all the more impressive when Ludvig birdies 13 through 15, because those are holes that you don't see those 3 in a row rattled off. 13 is a really tough par 5, and then 14 and 15 are always those sleeper holes that kind of bite guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, Riviera is one of those courses where I can pretty much tell exactly what hole they are on within like 3 seconds, less than 5 seconds of them panning to wherever they are. Torrey is not that, and yet I've watched it every year for like my entire life, and I still it just, they run together. It's not like a Firestone deal, but or like Quail Hollow, or a lot of these holes where you're just kind of like, I don't know, is this 9, is it 8, is it whatever, but you get a little bit of that Torrey. You do not get that at Riviera. You know exactly what hole they are on within seconds. But nevertheless, Ludvig gets hot coming down the stretch. His second pro win after the RSM McGladrey, whatever it's called, at Sea Island. Do we need to update the models, you're saying? The RSM is a harbinger for success because we had Mav and Ludvig.
Listen, we have to apologize. Our locks were not locks this week, which is rare for this esteemed gambling podcast. We only managed to sneak out one top 5. We just didn't consider the Sea Island Torrey Pines comp. We were just missing that because Ludvig and Mav, 2 esteemed one-time winners coming into this week, are duking it down the stretch. Both one-time winners of the RSM.
And the second hole in one, where the winner picks up a hole in one earlier in the week. Rory did it at Spy Glass and then one at Pebble. And so this may be the another thing to plug into the model. When you see that, when you adjust live betting, you adjust, right? When you get done with your FRL win, you jump over, you see a guy get an ace, you hammer whatever odds, where it may be 75th at the time, hammer the ace on a signature event. We've seen it now with Rory and Ludvig. So a good, if not like spectacular, Genesis Invitational. God, the internationals are just dominating the PGA Tour. Ludvig now adding to the win with Straka and Rory. We had Hideki early on. It's just been a bonanza for especially Europe, but international. Harris English is the only American winner so far on the PGA Tour. What jumped out to you today about Ludvig? Is it,
I think just winning.
Yeah, I was gonna say
PGA Tour
when he went 5-5-5 on, was it 4, 5, and 6? When he went 2 bogeys and a 5 on the par 5, or it was like, he's kind of like, he struggles on Sunday. I think there was some heat coming to him, and he comes in 32 and steals it.
I think you go back to the first TGL. And they he's the star of the Bay Golf Club, and they flash on the screen 2023 RSM Classic winner. And that's it. That was it. Obviously he had the runner up the Masters. Yeah. But he needs more wins. He's 25 years old, so he's an older young player. And this was great. I think honestly, I love his golf swing. I know everybody talks about his golf swing. It's just incredible. Non-stop. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And like, his disposition seems to be really good for playing golf. Like you don't see him get really high, really low. And just in general, I think like this was like a great win for the PGA Tour. In terms of like, this is a guy that you want to win, to rack up some wins. Like, I think the next thing is like, can you win multiple times in a year? That would be nice.
It's a good start. Getting one on
Great
the board
start.
in February.
It's got a better chance now than he had on Thursday. I'll tell you that much.
There's a lot of people taking victory laps about it. I had Ludvig. I mean, I think he was like the betting favorite or the most handle on him the first time they played here, when it was Farmers like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't know. Congrats on picking. It's hard, I guess, to pick one of 72 to win, but he was pretty
well. We would have been
prominent
all over. We would have been getting chesty if we had picked Ludvig.
Fine. Yeah, celebrate your wins, I guess. Celebrate your wins. Just have accountability for your losses.
What stood out to you
about Ludvig?
Just in general.
It felt, quite honestly, like the Genesis Scottish Open last year. Not in terms of views or playability or anything like that, but
both are on a big body of water.
That's fair, and both are sponsored by a Korean car company. And Genesis, same one. Where Bobby Mack just kind of came out of nowhere, and it felt like it was Ludvig and Adam Scott. You remember that? Like, it was just this forever felt like it was going to be Rogers and McCarthy. Then all of a sudden, Mav McNeely makes 9 birdies in 13 holes. Ludvig's not really on the broadcast, right? There was just, I think it's kind of ideal, like I said, what you want for a signature event, where there's a lot of possibilities. I thought CBS did a pretty good job of showing a lot of the shots, like especially there was one moment where like everybody bogeyed, and 3 or 4 guys bogeyed, and they were just going like boom, 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 and there was just a lot of movement. And so what stood out to me was Ludvig all of a sudden just jumping. It was like the inverse of the Scottish, where he was kind of, all right, this is going to be his to lose, and then he was really not on the coverage, and there was just so much movement there. And really unclear. And then all of a sudden it was just over. And that's what happened today, with McNeely out ahead of him. And then all of a sudden Ludvig, who was kind of not even on the little corner leaderboard they keep and the which shows whatever 6-7 guys, he was, because it was a little compacted. And then all of a sudden
Torrey Pines usually is. Usually compacted.
He's just your winner. But I thought they kept up with it okay, showing all the bogeys. Cantlay bogey, Rogers bogey, Scheffler, they all bogeyed pretty, like, real short succession. So there was just a lot of movement. I thought they kept up with it. That jumped out to me.
I think that you didn't feel Ludvig coming squarely because Tiger was in the booth. And I thought last week's JT in the booth was like a prime example of great player in the booth. I thought today was pretty disappointing. Obviously there's some stuff that they had to cover with Tiger's mom, but just in general, like, it felt like the most important part of the tournament stalled out. If I'm gonna, be, it's just, I thought the reason that we didn't feel Ludvig coming, or that he was in it, was because they just did not show a lot of shots for 20 minutes.
Yeah. And
that in those 20 minutes was literally when he kind of made his move.
Jumped into it. Tiger talked a little, he gave a little kind of analysis about what was happening, read a putt. I don't know. That was fine. But the most interesting stuff was like diagnosing McNeely into 17. He's like, all right, he's got the right angle for, he's on the step cut, whatever you want to call it. Like, that was like some of the most interesting stuff. He's like, he should be okay. But yeah, you're right. It did. All of a sudden, Ludvig is not on the leaderboard, and now he's, one back. So it was a hard charge. I love watching him play. I love watching the metronomic swing, like everybody else. I had a lot of fun watching those guys hit into 16 all week. It was a lot of 4 irons today. It was lumber earlier when it was windier. But God, that was like TGL Velcro today. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Those, like, Rory had one of the best shots. Ludvig the same. 4 irons, 5 irons. I don't think the ball advanced like an inch once it landed. It wasn't necessarily spinning, but just zero roll.
Very
just
soft.
plop,
very
plop
soft.
down. But beautiful to watch from the tee with the tracer and everything.
It was so green. They had to be doing some color correcting, right?
That's your department. Is that your conspiracy?
Green. I don't know. It just looked so green this weekend. I will say the humorous, like just in the pace of play, something I had in my notes when I was watching on Saturday night.
Yeah.
They opened CBS coverage and they immediately kicked it to Davis Thompson, who had a real tough chip. It took him like 2.5 minutes to hit the chip, and I was like, "Oh, this is the tour's pace of play in a nutshell." They were a lot of
pace play in a minute here.
The tour was getting chesty about pace of play. They had sub 4 pace of play, which is twosomes to be completely honest. Twosomes.
McNeely had some good takes on pace play. I'm gonna get to here in a minute, and there seems to be sort of a bubbling battle below the surface between the broadcasts and the tour, kind of pointing at each other. Like, you're to blame. Your TV window that we have to fill. No, you guys are ruining. You guys are making it impossible to broadcast because you're so slow. There is a little bit of that going on, pointing the finger back and forth.
That's when stuff happens, when people start pointing the blame.
It's going on.
What do you think? Does it, obviously the European, another win. We highlighted this on Friday. The Europeans of the Ryder Cup. This just moved down their average world ranking a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Sam Presti right now, Luke Donald. He's just got assets out the yin yang. He's just got picks. He's got tradable assets. He's got stars. What would Ludvig have to do to not make the team?
I don't think that's possible.
Right. I feel like he could be 40th in the world come 50th. I mean, he's got to be what now, 5 or something? He is number 1. We have a new number 1 in the world, passing Hideki, Ludvig, with that 700, the cool 700 points.
Missed the chance. Missed the opportunity there.
From the FedEx Cup tracker. I think he and Hovland are kind of in the spot where they would just have to have an all-out, like, just lost their game for an entire month going in, or 2 months, right? That they feel like secure in their spot, right? For the Ryder Cup. I don't see they're one of those guys where, Spieth is not like this anymore, right? If Spieth has a middling year or a bad year, like he's no longer, you just have a place on the team. But I feel like Ludvig and Hovland have basically earned that like solid status no matter what happens.
Well, I think I would say, do you think this changes the way you think of Ludvig at all?
No. I mean, I think you want to see him win. Being very good and great are not necessarily the same thing as winning. Reminded me a lot of Scotty, some of the play, right?
Yeah. I think like the disposition, and then just obviously the tee to green skill set is, I think for me, this win will always be like, listen, like, this is the first time that he beat a world-class field.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I think like that this was winning a big one, right? Like the Masters, I think cemented everybody's belief that he was very, very, very good. This one to me is the one that kind of like, hey, he beat the best players in the world. And, that is this will be the big first win. Really.
It wasn't all.
I don't think the Omega European Masters count.
Sir Sarah. Whatever.
RSM.
Yeah, RSM. It wasn't flawless for Ludvig. I guess there was a beer controversy. PJ, do you want to jump in here with some details about this? Apparently, there are people very upset with Ludvig.
I'm getting intel from on the ground that Keegan Bradley sent Sam Adams Boston Lager to celebrate
how cliche. The Boston
hole
boy.
in one today, but there was nothing from Ludvig.
I
No,
love this.
no acknowledgement. No, maybe he's too much of a machine. Do we even know if he drinks? He's got a big cross country flight. He's very busy tomorrow. I don't even. He's got no time for celebration. I don't know.
Is he in the lineup for Bay? Are they playing
yeah.
tomorrow? I assume they are. Okay.
He's playing 2, I believe.
God.
He's on the doubleheader.
God. Guy just got his biggest win of his career. He's got to fly to Palm Beach and just play simulator all day.
Can we talk about how ridiculous it is that there's going to be 3 of those tomorrow?
I mean, we can. I think we have. It's a lot.
I think I feel like I've been pretty devoted. Tomorrow's when I'm pulling the plug for a day. I cannot do the triple header.
No. Tuesday night I might watch. There's it's got its own just one. But
kid home from school.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. There's no way I'm locking in tomorrow.
I can't believe he's got a flight. But yeah, I like that he didn't send beer. I'm so over the beer to the media for an ace. And as a member of the media, I don't mean to turn the guns on my own here, but and they tweet the damn picture. Thank you for the beer. I'm just over it. This doesn't need to happen anymore. I applaud Ludvig for trying to put a stop to the practice, whether he intended to or not.
Well, I don't know. Could he
Keegan
afford it? Now he's got $3.6 million. I'm sure that's Keegan's got
$4 million.
4. When did it jump to 4? He and Neiman won the exact same amount. Like, God, there's just a bubble. I can't believe we gave out 2 $4 million purses on Sunday. Just insane.
Send some of that money this way,
Just insane.
Do you think he would have sent beer if he had a hole out eagle on a long par 4?
No, I don't think so.
It's only aces. It's only the aces. What other notes you got from Genesis Invitational? I got a bunch here, but
so I was watching on Saturday, and it's just like Pat Rogers. I enjoy Pat Rogers. Like, it's a bummer he hasn't won. He had this insane shot into 12 yesterday. It was like this low flighted long iron.
Yeah.
And he made a birdie. And all I thought about is like, yeah, if any of the stars, like, and at the time he's like right near the lead, maybe in the lead. If this was any star player, social media would light up. And there was like nothing about it. It made me think like 2 things is like, A, Pat Rogers like is so good. Patrick Rogers. Like, yeah, he's so good. It's ridiculous he hasn't won. They can hit these types of shots. Like that shot, it was one of the best shots I've seen all year. Mm-hmm. And 2, how ridiculous like people are with social media. It's just like, if it's not about 5 people, it just like never happens.
Well, this is their fan first survey, and it's like on course and off course personality and content. Like, that's like basically, yeah.
I mean, Patrick Rogers is everywhere with Bob's watches.
What?
Have you seen the Bob's watches commercial?
No.
Forgot who he does them with.
I haven't seen that.
You're gonna see him now. The Bob's watches.
All right. I don't even know what that means.
Wasn't everybody that perfect microcosm though on the back nine of Denny and Rogers?
Yeah.
Like, right,
I was like, will they top 5 or what's right? No, he's not. He's probably not gonna win. What will it be? Will it be?
But they're just right there, and then just stuff stops happening. Like Denny just like does not make a putt the entire back nine.
No.
Rogers just, his ball striking like ticks down a half notch, and it's like he's just holding on to make pars. And it's like, that's the difference between world-class players and really, really, really really good bona fide PGA Tour players.
I love Denny. I mean, we're rooting for him around here. All my neighbors, literally,
Did you hear
Rockville, Maryland.
It was probably quiet around you
in the streets. I know. We were fired up. Everybody was talking about it at breakfast this morning, the diners all around town. But yes, the Rockville, Maryland boy. I do have a lot of friends who are always like, "What's Denny doing? Where's Denny at?" I was like, I mean, I don't know. I don't have Denny McCarthy like memorized. I want him to win though. I'm rooting for him.
You know, I heard on the broadcast on Saturday, Denny picked up some pop in the bat. Picked up 5 miles an hour. He was like not that far behind Rory yesterday.
I mean, Torrey Pine's not really a place you would think he would be suited great for him.
If he's got more pop in the bat, watch out.
You never know. Could look out. Made 3 eagles in this week alone. Yeah. He had a good week.
Ball was going places.
You talked about the guys, the difference between like an all-world player and very good PGA Tour player. I would say another indicator of an all-world player is when you can like kind of have zero like distance control and sort of hit the ball terribly in top 10, top 5, maybe Scotty did. And Rory, I think it was the worst putting weekend of his entire career.
It was so bad.
And he top 20. I thought he was going to top 10. Then he hit it in the water on 18, lost one there just because whatever, it's over at that point. But 2 guys, all like career worst weekend putting, still like kind of around, hovering the top 10, definitely top 20. And Scotty was lawn left like all day. Then incredulous. So the one he thought the wind was going to knock it down. 14, he was like hit it in the barranca. Is that the only time like the holes really go up near like the barranca, that back 14th green?
14th green,
cool.
17th tee shot.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, that green back there. I mean, at least having it come into play. I'm not saying the green itself.
You know what was a total cop out and bullshit? Going with the left pin on 17 today. You got to put it right on Sunday.
Yeah, that was interesting. The guys were just kind of spinning them in there, right? Going in the side door. What are you giggling about?
Just not that. Just getting people in the live audience that are sending me texts trying to play the refs. You know,
about what?
Just playing the refs. I don't.
What are you talking about? Somebody's mad about something you're saying?
Apparently.
Maybe it's someone we're talking about. What are they working the refs? The guy who set the pin on 17 is texting you. That must be what you're referring to. Yeah, a left pin. They were kind of just throwing him in there, right? I mean, the only guy who had an issue was McNeely, who got a bad bounce off the fans. You know, that thing was going big wide. Totally played out this week. You know, Lamagna talks about like very narrow misses. Rogers was like, what's the par 5 on the back? 15?
13.
No, 13. Sorry. He was like a foot, and Emmelman called it out. He's like a foot off the fairway. It's just dead. Just trying to
was crazy.
Squirt one up the fairway as best he can. And, you know, McNeely is heading so far right. He's in good shape, and then doinks the fan, and now he's like in this like downhill, side hill, bunker, rough thing, and barely gets it out and over. But he was saved by your benign little pin that you're talking about. He hit the shot. Let's be fair. But yeah, 17 was kind of could throw it at that pin. But yeah, 14 was
Finau hit it. I don't know what he did off the tee, but he had 188 yards in. Did you see that from the right rough?
Yeah,
and he hit it to like 8 feet. I was happy. I was happy because that was my lock of the week.
Your lock hammer.
Top
Were you
5.
mad that Ludvig got a drop from the first cut to the fairway? There, people were getting worked up about that. It's not a big deal. There have been way worse.
PGA Tour.
You need to pay attention. You're all over the map. Lock in, Harry. You're getting too jammed. You're giggling. You're little Mr. Giggles over there.
I mean, the PGA Tour, all they do is give drops, right?
Yeah. They at least admitted it was kind of a good break, a lucky break. So we did ball in hand the first 2 days. So you're saying 2 benign pins on Sunday. But you know what? I thought the course played fine. I thought like you would get punched in the face if you hit poor shots, but you could also shoot like a 65. You could shoot a 66. It was out there. I thought it did play pretty well. It was not a birdie fest. It got compact at times, but you actually had to play pretty well. And it wasn't so often. So many of these courses, you can kind of like hit it like shit, but still just make 4-4-4 all the way around, you know? And it felt like there was actual some penalty for poor shots today. Like you had to stay on top.
So the rough was nuts in places.
And it was benign today. Conditions were kind of perfect. Wind and sun and all that. So it's soft as pancake.
Do you think Ludvig was following the Aon decision making graphics?
Why? What happened? Which one was that? What hole?
On 12, the decision, these things, the tour, I know that the tour makes these. They're ridiculous. They go to 12. It was like, it's a good decision to hit the fairway on 12. No shit. It's a 510-yard par 4 with thick rough on both sides. And then it went to a par 3, and it was like, it's really good to hit the green. And I feel bad. Honestly, for the broadcasters.
Who has to narrate them? Yeah.
Every time these come up, because like it's legitimately like they're giving them nothing. The tour hands this over, and it's literally just like, you score this if you hit the fairway, and you score this if you hit the green. And you score this if you don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the best segment. It's like the TGL data, the KPMG or whatever it was, Ernst and Young. You know, Matt Fitzpatrick has a 99% chance to win the hole if he hits it. You know, because it's a par 3. It doesn't make. It's just kind of a ham-fisted integration. Hit the fairway on a 510-yard par 4. Thank you very much. But yes, Ludvig followed everything to a T on the back 9. Hit a lot of club into 18. I was a little worried, right? He was kind of, Finau had just ripped a 4-iron from behind him, and then he pulls lumber and goes to the back edge. So,
7-wood though.
7-wood.
A 7-wood might have more loft than a 4-iron.
I was gonna say, wasn't like a 3-wood or anything like that. That hole stinks. But whatever.
What are you talking? The Billabong was getting people left and right today. Got Cantlay. Cantlay was doing an expected value calculation. Rinsed it. Rory rinsed it. The Billabong was busy today.
That. It's the most.
What's the guy's name again?
Devlin. Billabong. It's impotent. Look, a little puddle. They just got. It's like a perfect circle. It's just plopped in there. Looks so silly.
It was getting a workout.
It was. Rory hit it in there. Cantlay.
I mean, to be completely honest, though, the water hazard, like, I make fun of the water. It worked. Ludvig was like, I'm not hitting it in there. He knew he couldn't hit it in there, and then he had to make like because he chose not to like play aggressively. That was a hard 2-putt.
I almost felt bad for Cantlay on 13, as he went ping pong from one awful rough lie to the next.
That was the one down below was so bad.
Valley there. Then behind the hole, he's just like, honestly, he was just hacking for 20 minutes straight. I almost felt bad for him there. He was distressed debt in the rough there.
Can I
what other notes you got?
I got one here. I think the best move any TGL team could make. PJ, I think this is what your New York golf club should do.
We're desperate, so
they should bring Joe Scavron on as the GM.
He knows how to pick him.
He just dumped Tom Kim so fast for Ludvig.
So he's the guy.
He's the guy you want running your front office.
Cutthroat, identifier of talent.
He should be the advanced scout, right?
2 wins with Tom Kim. And said, nope, I'm good. I'm good.
That's enough.
That's who I want running my front office if I'm a TGL team.
I think you're onto something here. I think you're really onto something.
While we're talking about Cantlay hacking out of the rough, we do have to note miscut sponsors exemption, miscut Jordan Spieth said, quote, after he went home early, it's been a tough week on the wrist. I wasn't sure I'd hit one more shot like my shot on 16 yesterday. I wasn't going to finish the first round. I was okay to go today, but this cold, wet weather and third week in a row, it was not good for it. And he went on to talk about how he really needed a week off, and it's not going. It's inflamed a lot more. This is not good, Andy. He just was off 5 months resting it. I'm worried.
Well, I gotta say, if a sponsor invites you, you can say no.
Are sponsors exemptions DEI for the PGA Tour, essentially? It's basically, right? I thought we were done with that at this day and age. Bring some, bring a lower OWGR, some celebrity. Just mix it up. It's Ricky. Ricky made the cut.
So
Woodland and Spieth did not.
So Spieth's not going down to Vedanta.
No, I mean,
is Vedanta part of the West Coast swing?
No. I'm not gonna buy that. Vedanta is part of the Corn Ferry Tour.
Is it more part of the Florida swing or the West Coast swing?
It's not a PGA Tour event. This is preposterous. We're gonna go from this field to, I'm not going to look at any preview stuff because people are telling me you need to do in-out alternate for Vedanta. So I can only imagine who's in the field. It's not even, it's like PGA B, right? PGB at best. But it's not part of the West Coast win. I will not abide that. You're adding on to it.
Let's do some awards.
Okay. For West Coast?
Yeah. PJ, come in here.
Okay. I'm ready.
Who's our player of the West Coast swing?
Does this include Hawaii? First
No.
7 events of the year.
No.
Okay. Is it the Tank? I would like to give it to the Tank.
That's where my brain first went. But I mean, I just I think he was gassed this week. I think he just literally the Tank ran out of gas. Which is completely fair, completely reasonable.
Yeah,
I'm giving it to Tom Dietrich.
He's good. I thought you might.
I think they might be retiring his uniform at Assembly Hall next week because of the win.
What was the best event of the West Coast swing?
Pebble.
I would.
Yeah, I think
Pebble came together pretty well.
Maybe the Tank.
Who got the least out of it? Who are you most concerned about? I would say Xander is NA for this. He doesn't apply. I mean, I think right now he's the one you're somewhat concerned about. JT
Pendy?
had a good day. Pendy, come on. Well, he's licking his wounds after Canada got beat up last night, 3-1.
I mean, Emiliano Griot's last in the FedEx Cup. Are we worried about him?
Beaton might have gotten the worst out of it. Actually, I think Beaton probably got the worst.
Come on. Do we need to drive by Beaton right now?
It's not a drive-by. My original answer was going to be, what is Colin Morikawa up to? Does that guy even play golf anymore?
It's a fair. I was going to say Cantlay. I have great concerns about Cantlay, and then today he sort of popped a little bit. Still hasn't won in 3 years, almost two plus, I guess, 2.5 years.
JT with 3 top 10s in 4 events.
Led the field in strokes gained approach today, or this week, I should say. Yeah,
he'd be a contender for best West Coast swing without a win. Another name I'd throw in the hat. This is going to be out of left field. Best West Coast swing without a win, especially if you consider expectations. Andrew Novak.
Yeah.
Third,
absolutely.
The first go around at Torrey. It looked like he was going to win. 13th at Pebble, and then he finished, I think, 12th today. 13th. 13th. Another 13th.
Yeah. emceed last week at Phoenix. I know that because I looked at it going to the window and purchasing a Novak ticket. Held off, missed.
Hey, better Novak, Steve Novak or Andrew Novak?
Andrew, come on, Andrew. At this point, it's Andrew. Steve Novak's no longer with.
Steve Novak scored like 40 a couple times, I think.
Oh, I thought you mean like currently at this. at this
No.
point right now?
I believe Steve Novak's true claim to fame is he's the tallest NBA player to never dunk. I believe is Steve Novak.
It's good.
Nick's legend. I loved Steve Novak growing up.
Good,
He was
good
but he was 6'10", and DB was straight vibing a little bit. He was involved. Signs of life for the first time in 2.5 years, really.
Sure.
He's 12th this week too.
Yeah.
Had a good week. Had a good run. You think Mav McNeely
What
is a
about
Ryder Cup
Boomy?
player?
If you include Hawaii, Boomy. I'm so
Boomy.
happy for Boomy.
Boomy. I got my Boomy hat right here. You have your Boomy hat? I'm gonna wait this out. You got the I don't know what I did with my bobblehead.
I love the putter in midair. I think is my favorite part. It's incredible.
God.
It's great.
Do you have a bobblehead? Do you have a bobblehead collection, PJ?
Of course I do.
What's your most prized bobblehead?
It's a good question. I have a Noah Syndergaard. Back when he was good and cool. They had a Marvel
Thor?
Day, and it's Thor.
Oh,
yeah, I think that one's pretty sweet.
That is cool. That is cool.
Mine's Nick Taylor.
Yeah, I don't
know. You have Brant Snedeker with the FedEx Cup. I mean, to me, that's a.
I've got the FedEx
one.
Cup ones. I do.
I
do have
I'm
those.
Actively looking for more golfer bobbleheads now.
Is that real?
I've got Michelle Wheat and Nick Taylor. I feel like I just want obscure ones.
I have a Finau 2023 Rocket Mortgage Champion bobblehead. That's a
good
classic.
one. That's a real good one.
More likely to make the Ryder Cup team. Maverick McNeely.
He's 14th in the world.
Or Daniel Berger.
Ooh.
Feels like good options that we're talking about.
That does
right
feel
now.
like good options.
I mean, DB's played before.
I'm gonna say Mav McNeely because of the locker room. Everybody seems to like Mav McNeely, and they get scout, and they get scout out. They get scout out there too.
What does that mean? What does that do?
Wouldn't you want a guy on your team in the Ryder Cup named Scout?
Sure. He's picked up speed. I don't know if you heard that. They say that about everyone now.
Everybody's picking up speed except for Colin Morikawa.
Well, we don't know if he picked up speed or not because he doesn't really play. So maybe when he comes back.
What did he finish? Why are you jamming him?
Yeah, why are you're all over Morikawa?
I don't know. I'm worried. I'm definitely, my alarms are sounding.
He's one off the Comcast Business Top 10 right now. That's his 11th. He's fine.
I'm worried.
I've been getting a lot of mailers from Comcast Business. They've been trying to get me to convert. Yeah. They have $500 off. I'm like, well, how expensive is this if it's $500 off?
That doesn't sound cheap. Great day watching McNeely. He was fabulous. It almost felt like people were hoping he would kind of come back to the field there with some of those like 17, the earlier boat, like, all right, can you make this interesting? Because all of a sudden, nobody was, Scheffler was sort of lingering around after he hold the bunker shot. But a great day for Mav McNeely, despite not getting the dub. He had some great thoughts on pace of play, or not great, provocative, interesting thoughts. He's like, this is a real, hot button topic with a very simple solution. We need to play in twosomes. He's like, twosomes are they unlock the whole thing. Like threesomes are a full hour more. He said, this was a quote he gave on, I think Friday or Saturday. We played twosomes today. It must have been Saturday. I don't know what the pace was, but we were moving. We played Torrey Pines. You want to build a golf course that takes a long time. You're going to build it 7,900 yards with really thick rough. We have to lay up half the time you miss a fairway and super fast, slopey greens. If we could play twosomes more, we're handcuffed by a little bit by TV finish times. So again, a little bit of finger pointing going back and forth right now. I know the TV people are popping them for slow play. There have been meetings, with Tour about, how do we get it better? I'm actually surprised by how much is dictated by the TV window, McNeely said. So if we have to finish at a certain time, we can't play twosomes, even with larger cuts. If we play twosomes, it's almost an hour automatically shaved off the pace of play. So he said fewer players, faster rounds. He said also playing twosomes exposes slower players. So when the round is going really slowly, this all is intuitive. The slow players play slow and they get covered up and they don't have that pressure. In twosomes, you have to move. If you hit 1 or 2 bad shots and you're scrambling, you have to move to get back into position. It forces the slow players to play faster. He said, and they should have 60 in tie cuts. So not MDF, not going back to that or anything like that, but 60 and ties cut. So there's never going to be the possibility of needing, threesomes on the weekend. So you can, we're talking about taking so many cards and making fields smaller from 156 to 140 and down to 144, down to 120.
60 would be kind of sick.
Losing my internet here.
Oh, no. I still got you.
Uh-oh. You got me?
Yeah, you're here.
I'm losing my internet. I'm very windy here in Maryland. So my wires are holding on for dear life outside. But yeah, twosomes. So
I like the 60. I like the 60 in ties.
Okay. All right. So you made this huge deal about making fields smaller, but 78 guys make the weekend. Most people are watching. The broadcast window matters most. We're still playing with a giant wave. So that's I think it's an interesting thing, right? I mean, that's always the issue. You got me?
Yeah, we got you. You might be done. Might be out. PJ, what do you think?
Oh, no. I mean,
he's done.
He might be gone. He might be back. I don't know. I'm keeping an eye out over the back here.
You know the other thing I saw from our buddy Nosferatu?
Oh, boy. Oh, he might be back.
He's back in here.
No, right. Just as soon as we put him back, he might be out.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah,
my buddy Nosferatu, the great rankings guy, Justin Thomas in the top 10 in the world golf rankings for the first time in 2 years.
That's big. That makes me feel good again. That makes me feel cautiously optimistic. Levels of cautious optimism.
So you were tweeting. I couldn't believe it. I was up late, West Coast time, and you're tweeting about Liv.
Gonna come up.
You're tweeting about Liv at like 2 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I was locked in. I wouldn't say I was locked in, but as I told you too, I watched a fair amount of Liv Adelaide just by virtue of it being on cable television, which I think might be their ultimate goal with all of this. And they got me. They got me good.
How about
late at night?
Yeah.
How about Scott O'Neill's comment today about once we get him to tune in, we've got the best players in the world. We've got the best players of any tour in the world.
Said outside of the majors. He was clear, at least said the majors. You want to come watch the best players in the world, there's only one place for it, and it's here. And he was right.
He's counting DJ as one of the best players in the world.
Body bagged head to head by Blandy. Dickie B beat him by 8, I believe. Just rolled them up. Peace.
So ridiculous.
It's just, I almost want this to be like a season-long market of just season-long. Who are you taking? Dickie B versus CJ.
We should do a season head-to-head. He's already down 0 for 2.
Yep. What you shouldn't be down though. Stock up now. Spring trips, sunscreen. We are back for another year with Oars and Alps. Honestly, like I was screaming at the top of my lungs when you got Oars and Alps back, doing backflips, figuratively, not literally. We love this stuff. This is stuff I bought before they were an advertiser. I was so happy when I heard they were inquiring about it. I was happy they came back for another year. I don't know if this is year 2 or 3, whatever it is. I'm told our listeners have flocked to Oars and Alps, and I haven't heard anything bad. Got no bad feedback on this. So oarsandalps.com/shotgun start and shotgun 15.
This is for people that don't know what it is. It's like all sorts of products, like skin products, sunscreen, like deodorant. Lip balm, like products for men. The whole premise of this was that like two wives of outdoor active men like looked at the stuff that their husbands were using, and this is complete junk, and they made good stuff. Like my wife does this with me. She'll like, I'll come home with something, she'll be like, why the hell would you buy that? Like, do you want, that's like, it's junk. And she buys like different stuff for me. But this stuff, she's always like, why aren't you using the Orson Alps? Orson Alps is awesome. They have some new stuff this year. One thing that caught my eye, it hasn't been sunny enough for me yet here to use this. Yeah. The matte sunscreen stick with SPS 50.
I like that matte. That sounds, for me, I just line the kids up with the stick when it's pool time, just boom, boom, boom. It's so good. So fast and effective. And it doesn't have all these chemicals in it. It's been tested. It's got all the junk out of it.
They got something for chrome domes too. Snuds could get in there.
They have the spray.
Yeah, the face and scalp mist.
My one son gets a mohawk last day of school every year, and he's white as a ghost. He's basically, I say he's like E.T. at the end when E.T.'s sort of dying and he's white. That's what he looks like. He's all bones. He's thin. Looks like sickly E.T. So white. So yeah, when he gets his head shaved, we got to use that scalp mist. He likes that stuff, but we're not there yet. I'm old man, hands cracking open, winter, bloody knuckles. I use their hand cream. They got this hand moisturizer stuff. It's like new. It's a product for all seasons. Moisturizer, body wash, shampoo, deodorant. I stock up on sunscreen though. That's like literally a no-brainer. I've already got 3 or 4 lined up. Shotgun 15 gets you 15% off. OrsonAlps.com/shotgun start. Shotgun 15. That's one that I am just genuinely very happy. We're in bed with them, and it sounds like our listeners have been hitting that up good. All right, so Blandy Woodshed's DJ in the head-to-head. Joaquin Niemann wins. Wins live Adelaide. The Fireballs win by, I think it was 5 or 6. With all 4 scores counting, there's going to be some separation there, right? It's going to be, I don't know that we're going to.
I think they didn't think they were going to do this, but they're going to make the team competition way less interesting.
Yeah. It's like the TGL just deciding to add hammers everywhere.
How about that?
To make it more, I don't know, volatile.
What about the season-long bettors?
That's what I'm saying. You can't.
It's kind of insane. They're just changing rules week to week when people are betting on this.
And you are sponsored out the wazoo by FanDuel. Like, you were advertising season-long betting on this, and we just changed the rules mid-year.
It's like saying there's no 3-point shot in the second half of the NBA season this year. We're taking that off the board. Might change the MVP race. Might change the value.
I'm a little worried about the hammer change, but we'll see. We got 4 games to see how it works out over the next 48 hours.
Yeah, so Niemann wins by 3. He's become all right. Working theory, Andy. You could tell me this is I don't know about this. Maybe I might subscribe. So Niemann has done well in Australia, and I wonder, he's a lower hitter, right? He's a low ball flight, lower launch player. You think he plays well in Australia because he's got a good ball flight for it? I'm not saying he plays it along the ground, but it was windy for a good bit in Adelaide. I know Adelaide's not like necessarily the sand belt 1-to-1 comparison where he's won the Australian Open, but maybe he's got like the right game, the right kind of ball flight, a lower ball flight. So he's done well in Australia for a while now.
Could be something. Could just love the coffee. Could be a big Vegemite guy too. Who knows? He could just be happy down there. Could be, one of the things is it's a rare place that we get to see him play in the Southern Hemisphere. Maybe it's just he's a Southern Hemisphere player.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't have to travel there for exemptions this year. He's already locked up PGA and Masters, and he's in line for a U.S. Open one if he's, because he's not exempt. If he gets that new live exemption. The audience, go ahead.
He's an interesting guy, just with, what does this mean with wins and stuff with him?
$4 million.
But like
the data golf rankings have him, I think, in the top 20, 18-ish, I want to say. World rankings, he's just not on the map. Yeah, He needs to play well in a major. That's for sure. And like saying that doesn't mean you're attacking Liv outright. I think like a lot of people got mad at me for saying Matt Wolff is really just, he finished DFL this week, but people got in their feelings. I didn't even mention the tour. Like we talk about Spieth struggling. We talk about, Max Homa trending out. It had nothing to do with the tour. It's just Matt Wolff is on a really negative downward trend. And then you get all these guys that think I'm attacking Liv.
Do you know how many professional wins Neiman has?
He's won the Genesis, the event this week. I'll say like 12.
This is a little because he's got a Chilean tour.
Okay, all right.
He's got 9 Chilean tour wins.
Okay,
all got 16 wins.
I figured there was a few baked in. That's why I went to 12. He's 24?
26.
Okay.
It's interesting just with him being 26 still.
Yeah. He's got it. Got a lot of career ahead of him. This is an Australian source. Said the Live Golf Cubed, the Live Adelaide ratings. The average audience was 170,000 compared to 161 in April 2024. But the reach was way down from 936, not way down, 936 to 882. This was beaten by a meaningless ODI game. I think that's cricket, which had 333,000. I guess Channel 7 dumped Live to their second station in Australia and went to their game show, The Chase, which rated for 454,000 compared to 160 on Live for Live. So I know they were expecting more than 100,000 people there. Their ratings were way up on FS1 compared to, it was hard to go down from 19,000.
Go down from 12,000.
So they got a little bump there. There was a big article at an Australian outlet, Money in Sport, outlining some of the losses, and they're pretty astronomical. It seems like they're going to get to $5 billion spent by the end of this year. They said revenues in 23 went from 4.9 million in revenue. 4.9.
That's so bad.
To 37.1 last year, with Australia, the Adelaide event providing 45% of that, 16.6 million revenue from Adelaide alone, 37 million in revenue. But tournament hosting fees made up 37% of revenues. So
courses paying.
That's the largest category of income. Broadcast rights amounted to $3 million. Broadcast rights. That's not a lot of money.
It's not a good roadmap for success.
Live rights. Per tournament cost was 10 million in 2022, fell to 7.3 million in 23 as they expanded.
That doesn't include the purses.
No. The legal fees were 15.7 million. Their player indemnification to pay back European Tour fines, so they're just covering those fines, was 7 million. Operating losses grew from 244 to 394 million. They are, according to this report, Money in Sport, they are piling up at a staggering rate, necessitating regular injections of new capital by the Saudi PIF. The total capital injected to Live Golf UK topped 1 billion after a recent issue of new capital in December 2024. The new level of share issues in 24 over 400 million implies no improvement in Liv's 2024 financial performance, which won't be filed for another 12 months. We know from statutory reporting by the Jersey holding companies that total capital approved by PIF is now at 3.9 billion and 1 billion, which relates to Live Golf UK. So they think it's going to get, they said, could approach 5 billion capital injected, 5 billion expenses by the end of this year, with further big bills on the horizon if they want to retain the top golfers as their contracts expire, which we know Bryson's is. Seems like that's not proceeding with any kind of pace at the moment. So 5 billion in losses, or not loss, but 5 billion spent. So 37 million in revenue, though. That's not, it's going up from 4. 0.9.
What an absurd.
You got to spend money to make money.
$5 billion.
It's ridiculous. Did you see Joel Beal's tweet?
Completely insane.
Did you see Beal's tweet over the weekend, or maybe it was Friday?
Nah.
He kind of popped Rom. I don't know that I disagreed with it. It was interesting. So they talked about the 19,000 was the average viewers. Beal said, "Don't let the misanthropes, bad faith actors, or bot farms change your mind. This is an unserious league. You take Rom away. Liv hasn't done anything of note since 2022." I think that might be right, that part.
I think that's actually very true.
They've developed a better schedule and more serious events and stuff. But yes, they haven't done anything of note since 22. Rob maybe single-handedly kept this Cold War going. And he, of all people, should have known better. So, yeah, I don't think that's meritless. I mean, Rom is one of the few guys who went there like with their peak. Neiman probably would be another one. But everybody else, Koepka thought he was washed, or thought he was hurt. He was worried he was never going to about his earning power.
Bryson had the hand thing.
Yeah, it's just that's been their guy, and that's how you spend $5 billion.
I mean, the Rom thing, I hadn't thought of until that, where, like, if they don't sign him, it probably just would have bled out.
It's not great. I mean, they still are going to. It's not. Nobody's watching it. I mean, I know Adelaide's a great party, and they did a good job. Like, it's really had a success there, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be sort of sticking anywhere. It's kind of, we've hammered. We're critical of all tours. We're just trying to call balls and strikes here, but it's kind of a joke. And they've spent $5 billion on it now. That said, they announced a 6-year extension to keep the tournament in Adelaide until 2031. Is that going to happen?
I mean, please.
Did you hear Tiger in the booth today? He was like, "We're going to see the best players together this year." He didn't say that, but Nance was like this year, real soon. He's like, yes and yes. Now, that doesn't seem possible, and I think Tiger maybe didn't follow the precise wording from Nance. But if you followed it to the letter, Tiger responded yes and yes about seeing the best player, like essentially reunification this year, which just conceptually, how you execute that doesn't seem possible this year. But Liv is signing contracts with Adelaide till 2031.
Let's go to more relevant tour. The Chubb Classic. Justin Leonard back in the winner's circle. Maybe a guy that one time equipment passed by, but now is back. He's been grinding. B Dratty guy.
B Dratty, zero restriction guy. I saw he was down at the bungalow, Dratty, in South Florida, looking at the new lines of gear. Maybe he's got himself an Andy hoodie. Or Porath polo. Who knows? But yes, he's winning. How was the Chubb Classic, PJ? Did we end with the big spread? Did our Club Pro from
we ended with a big spread. So Mike Balliet, still no confirmation on how to say his name. Went 93-79, broke 80, which as our emailers and submitters noted, that doesn't often happen on his qualifications page.
In this section, it doesn't happen that often.
No, 86 today for a 42 over 3-round final score compared to Justin Leonard's 15 under.
Okay.
So the spread was what?
57?
57? Yeah.
57.
Big spread. Not a record.
More.
Yeah, big spread. We've seen worse. That's a big spread, though. It's a good one.
Breaking 80. That was huge. The 79 was huge towards the spread.
You know what he also gets is another made cut on his Champions Tour bio page, because the PGA Tour, for whatever reason, a no cut event, they list as a made cut. There is no cut, but he gets 2 for 2 on made cuts. Balliet. It's insane statistical keeping.
God, Paul Stankowski
Yeah,
Stankowski,
that was crazy. He was your
T4.
FRL.
Your FRL. Yeah.
He was
Your
leading
entering Friday was tied for the lead. But yeah, we had signs of life from Dick Green, T4. So we're trending in the right direction here. But Justin Leonard, first win since the 2008 Stanford St. Jude Championship. So over 15 years.
Wasn't that
Almost.
the company that was like essentially built like a Bernie Madoff type thing going on? Stanford no longer exists. It's like, say you won the Enron. Last time he won was the title sponsor was Enron.
Well, that's his last win. But really, the story of the weekend for me, I watched a fair amount in the afternoons. Papa and Zinger not on site. Calling this from PGA Tour Studios. I'm going to bring up Calc's tweet here. Quote, I think the fact that at Paul Azinger and at Bob Papa are in a studio for all but 3 events this year is a total embarrassment to our game and at Champions Tour. We can't be that cheap. These guys can't be great when they can't talk to players and be there to see what's going on.
Throwing heat. Total embarrassment to the game.
We need more Champions Tour on-site coverage.
And I will say
a total embarrassment to the game writ large. The entire game that Zinger can't be in person. Just all of golf is embarrassment.
Zinger wouldn't have signed on if he had to be on the road.
That's why Lanny quit, because he wasn't on the road anymore. Zinger is on Instagram now. He's posting day in the life kind of TikTok-ish videos about his time at PGA Tour Studios, which I'm finding hilarious. But the broadcast, I mean, it sounds different. It sounds quite honestly, it sounds too good. It sounds like it's highly produced from a giant multi-billion-dollar studio in South Florida. That's what it sounds like. So if that's what they're going for, sure. But I think the money was there to send Papa to Morocco. So that
came from the Moroccan tourism. Let's not kid ourselves. The Moroccan Tourism Authority covered that one.
Well, I'm happy that Papa got to make that trip, but I'm interested to see how this progresses through the year. But people are not happy that the on-site coverage is lacking.
I mean, people being one, Mark Calcavecchia. Who else? You?
I would say me. I missed. Papa is still posting his reels from the
Ponte Vedra.
He's getting range footage from somebody that he's putting on Instagram, but it's not him going out there and doing it anymore.
That's hilarious. That's good.
So I don't know. I it's still early, obviously, but I'm interested to see how this shakes out. First PGA Tour Studios broadcast for Zinger this year.
Dick Green, another top 5.
Yeah, no, trending in the right direction. I hope Peter Jacobson's on the call that week. No offense to Zinger, but I feel like Peter Jacobson deserves to see the payoff here.
Ernie's up to number 1 in the Schwab Cup.
Let's not read off the Schwab Cup standings right
3
now.
weeks in. We got a long way to go.
God, Justin Leonard won by 4. It's a lot. Just smoked him. Fred Couples. What were you going to say?
How long till Blocky's out there?
Let me see.
How long? I would imagine.
He's 48.
Every
48.
sponsor's exemption known to man.
He's 48.
People are just going to eat out of the palm of his hand.
Oh,
the Champions Tour
Blocky.
people like, oh, that's that young boy from Oak Hill. I loved that guy. The Champions Tour fan will love.
Oh, Blocky. We got if reunification is coming. Well, what if he wins?
Speed,
but 2, Dickie B back on the Champions Tour. He's coming in 5th, tying John Rahm in events. Like, he is as good as John Rahm in events. Could you imagine him out there? It might be bad. It might be a path of destruction.
I bet Rahm. Yeah, you think Rahm wishes he was at Torrey this weekend?
Yeah.
Yes, because he would win.
I mean, Ludvig called it his favorite place on earth. That's basically what Rahm did. I mean, that's kind of an interesting parallel. Like, biggest win so far of Ludvig's career. Kind of the win that put Rahm on the map was there. Obviously, it was Rahm's first win though. which was a little different. But
I know it's not a big deal, but I think this
putted from similar places on the green too.
I know it's not a huge deal, but I do think this was the first week that Rahm is going to fall out of the top 50 in the OWGR. Now, whatever. I know he's not getting points and all that, but I think he's been in the top, like essentially top 10, basically since that Farmers win at Torrey Pines. But yeah, he's out of the top 50 for the first time in 8 years. Didn't play well enough at the majors to kind of stick, and obviously he's not getting points on Liv. So, all right, news. We mentioned the Tiger interview. I thought that was a little interesting that he said yes, a deal might be getting done and will be reunified like this year. Xander sounds like he's targeting Bay Hill. Adam Schupak got him on the phone. Not just a mule whisperer, but a superstar whisperer, Xander.
Just a whisperer.
Got him on the phone and says, Bay Hill. Sounds like he maybe shouldn't have done that TGL match after Kapalua.
No,
It's just kind of exacerbated. Went on it, but he's targeting Bay Hill. So I'm very concerned about Speed.
Are you sad that CBS has gone to the Masters?
Is that right? They don't have Mexico.
We might get Catalan in Mexico, maybe.
I can't keep track.
No, Mexico is NBC.
Okay. Who's in the booth these days? Kisner? Do we know?
I don't know if we know. Yeah, that's a good question.
Kisner, I thought, got the job, but he's still kind of playing, right? So, yeah, we're not gonna see CBS for a while. So
Masters till the Masters.
Yep. All right.
Woof.
Everyone, enjoy your Mondays.
It's a dog days of winter ahead.
Do we want to make triple header picks?
No.
You
can.
Are you ready for him?
I don't know. I'm gonna be watching. I hope the tweets are gonna be good. I have no idea what to expect, but I feel bad for Ludvig, honestly, having to go across the country and not celebrate this. But he's got a big 4:00 and 7:00 doubleheader for Ludvig tomorrow. Lucas Glover makes his debut, which I feel like we might get some content out of. So.
Oh, he does. We have Atlanta, LA, Atlanta, Bay, and then Bay, Boston at night in the nightcap. God. Are you gambling on this stuff, PJ? Have you bet on any of this?
No, it's not allowed in New York. They can't get certified. They have not been certified yet in New York.
Oh, really?
Yes.
TGL?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not on the docket for New York.
Oh, that's probably wise with them changing the rules.
I took my kids to the sports bar today after their games, and they had a sports book in the corner of the bar, like a FanDuel sports bar. They're just encouraging people to get hammered at this bar and then just go to this window and make all these bets. It's kind of a sad scene, if I'm being honest. People were like betting on Daytona 500 and stuff. It was like just trying to get some wins, my kids, for lunch. But yeah, it was weird.
Right.
Bet on your TGL.
Gotta go watch the NBA All-Star game.
Not at all.
Later.
See ya.